Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Linda. On this channel, I share videos about sewing, pattern drafting, and every other thing in between. So on today's tutorial, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to sew this beautiful gown like I shared with you guys in the last video. Okay, so now I have 1 yard of Ankara here. For this, you'll be needing 1 yard of Ankara, and for the plain fabric, plain white, I used 3.5 yards of fabric. If this sounds like what you're interested in, you might definitely want to hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed yet, and let's just dive into the main video. So I've already gone ahead to cut out my fabric with my pattern paper from the last video. Now I gave about 2.5 inches for this bustier part. So now just go ahead and take away the pattern paper, and I'll open this up for you guys to see. I actually cut it on fold. Now I'm going to be running a basting stitch at the curves where you see me pointing. Now for the Ankara part, I already have my lining cut out already. So I cut out my lining for all the Ankara parts like you see me having here. So now I'll just go ahead and complete my basting stitch, and I'll get back to you guys. Now I have my basting stitch, and I'm going to be pulling the top thread to make a gather effect on it. So this is what I have. I'll go ahead and measure this part like you see me pointing, and I'll be doing that with my tape rule. So I'll just go ahead and carefully check what I have around the curve area. So you guys can see that is about 10 inches here. I have 10 inches, and definitely I'm going to have 10 inches for the second one. Alright, so I'll be making sure to have my gathers fitting up to that 10 inches mark where you see me pointing. Okay, so I also gave 0.5 inches sewing allowance both on the yoke and on the underbust pattern. So I'm simply going to do this after I am done with this part. So now I've stitched this part with my machine, and this is what I have. I hope you guys can see what I have. So the next thing I'll do now is just to go ahead and also stitch this part. I'll go ahead and match it up to what I have for the curve, and I'll be using my pins to secure it in place before stitching this area. And I'll also go ahead and attach my lining later on. Now I am done pinning the other side, so I'll just go ahead and stitch this part first because I feel like stitching that place flat before I start stitching the cup to avoid any mistakes. So now I'll just go ahead and work on this part, then I will be stitching this part. Now this is what I have. I am done stitching the cup for the bustier. You can see that I have completed the other ends. I've completed the straight areas. Now it's time to go and stitch my lining to it. I'll be placing my lining to face this side. You can see me, just watch and see how I am placing it. So I'll first of all go and stitch this part like this, and that is when I'll go and pin it and sew the other cup. Now I have my top part coming together. You can see that the front part is looking so beautiful and neat. The only thing that is left for me to do is to go ahead and notch the curved areas, the places I have sewn, just to give it more flexibility. Now I went ahead to iron this out flat because I am done with notching it. You can see how flat it is laying. See how beautiful it is looking. So now I'll be working on the back piece. So basically I have my back piece, my back yoke. So I'll go ahead and open this up and just watch closely and see how I am aligning this. I'll be opening my pieces because I have two there. So I'll just go ahead and take my yoke part for the back and I'll be placing it upside down, right side to right side, facing the Ankara part and matching up the seam allowances. Now I will place my lining part on it and stitch at this point, and I also do the same thing for the back. I also did the same thing for the front piece. I opened it up to find the midpoint by matching up the notch point between the main fabric and the lining part. Then I went ahead to stitch this part and this part. And this is what I have. And next it's time for me to fold in the darts. I'll also go ahead and do the same thing I did here for the back piece. Now the lower front piece is ready. I took it to the ironing board and I pressed it flat. I also did the same thing for the back piece. This is what I have. I also pressed the zipper allowance as well. Now it's time to work on the darts. So for the front piece, I will be taking it to the machine and I will be stitching it at this point by 3.5 inches downwards, as you see me pointing, and I'll be doing the same thing on the opposite sides as well. After I am done with the front piece, I will go ahead and do the same thing for the back piece. And now my back piece is ready. This is what I have for the both sides. I'll just go ahead and make a tiny stitch at this part just to finish up that rough edges. And after that, I went ahead to turn this right side to right side facing each other just to close the zipper area to give it a finished look. So I'll be doing that on the other side as well. So it's ready the way I want it to be. I have folded in the zipper area, the zipper allowance. I also joined the top and the lower part of the back piece like you see me doing. I flipped the lower part upwards just to align it with the upper part, and I took it over to the machine to stitch it at 0.5 inches sewing allowance. And I also did the same thing at the other part as well. Now this is what I have after I am done stitching the waistline. This is what I have. And now for the front piece, I'll be taking note of the notch point area. I'll be aligning the top part and the lower part, and I'll be placing them right side to right side facing each other. And I'll just go ahead and stitch it at 0.5 inches stitching allowance. So guys, now you can see that the dress is coming together. And I'll be placing the two back piece on top of the front piece just to join the shoulder line. And stitch it at 0.5 inches for each shoulder. After working on the shoulder line, the next thing is to fix the zipper. To determine the amount of space I need to leave out for the zipper, I'll go ahead and measure 2 inches upwards from the zip, and that is where I'll be stitching downwards for the rest of the dress. Now my zipper has been fixed and this is what I have. Next thing is to close the sides to shaping out the dress. So for this, you'll be needing your body measurements. So I'm using my body measurement, which is my bust, my waist, and my hip circumference. So I'll be making sure to mark that correctly, plus some ease of allowance. Then I'll be connecting that with my ruler respectively.
I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on.
And now I'm done with the shaping. I went ahead to iron it out on the ironing board, and I wanted to give some customization to the Basque effect. So I folded it up like you see me doing. I had to align the sides, and I decided to take away 1 inch at the parts where you see me marking. This is to give it a pointed V-line at the Basque area.
Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all the sorry.
Now I decided to cut out a strip of fabric for the bias so that I could be able to turn the neckline, and I also wanted to enhance the Basque area with the strip of fabric which I am cutting. I'll be needing 3 long strips of fabric for that. Don't worry, you're going to be seeing that soon. This is what I have been talking about, and I hope you saw what I did earlier. So now I also turned out the neckline. You can see how my dress is coming out nicely. And now it's time to make the gathers effect. So I cut out a long strip of fabric of about 12 inches wide and 2.5 yards long. I actually cut out 2. One piece is going to be for the front and the other one is going to be for the back. You can actually choose between 2 yards to 3 yards by length if you want to make your gathers effect, but for me I used 2.5. That's what I have left from my fabric. What I'm doing is basically checking the length of the fabric and seeing how much I have left. Now I'll just go ahead and run a basting stitch at this part, and also at the other side I'll be hemming it by 1/2 inch because I want the hemming to be very tiny. I'll do the same thing for the other part. So now this is what I have. I'll go ahead and check what I have at this part. I'll be measuring it with my tape rule to know the length so that I could be able to gather it and match it up with the dress. To determine the length of my dress, I placed my tape rule at the shoulder tape and I measured 42 inches minus 12 inches, which equals 30 inches. So the main dress is 30 inches plus my 12 inches plain white for my gathers, which equals 42 inches. Now it's time to measure what I have for the Basque effect. I'll just go ahead and use my tape rule and I'll check what I have there. I have about 27 inches and that is going to apply for the back piece. After making a basting stitch, I'm going to be pulling out the top thread just to make the gathers effect. I'm also going to cross-check what I have for the gathers. Since I've gotten my desired length, I went ahead to tie the loose threads at the end just to prevent it from snapping back. Now it's time to cut out the sleeve. I have a tutorial on how to cut and sew a bishop sleeve. I'll be leaving that on the screen. I just decided to cut out the sleeve off camera because I know for sure that it's going to make the video so long. So kindly visit the link on the screen to get the tutorial on how to cut and sew a bishop sleeve. So this is what I have after I am done attaching the gathers and the sleeve, and of course my zipper and my neckline has been finished. This is what I have. This is how cute it's looking. So this is me wearing it and I just can't get enough of this dress. I love it so much. Guys, if you love this video, kindly give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and also turn on your notification bell to get more videos like this, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye for now.